spécialité de publication par groupe déjà, qui s'intitule Dependent Structure Between Commodity and Currency Markets, Evidence from Selected Mineral Countries, et conclut la Dutch Approach. Bien sûr, ce travail sous l'encadrement de M. Zietfried. Alors, vous avez entre 20 et 25 minutes pour... Ça va?
C'est bon.
C'est bon. Pour présenter votre travail. Par la suite, on passera à la discussion.
D'accord. Dear professors, dear guests, today I'm going to present for you my master dissertation project entitled Dependent Structure Between Commodity and Currency Markets, Evidence from Selected MENA Countries, a Coppola-Gatch approach, supervised by Mr. Zietfried. Here is my plan. I'm going to start by introducing my topic, which will mainly be about these points. At first, I'm going to highlight the concept of commodity market financialization. Then I'm going to explain the methodological issues. After that, I'm going to show you the empirical results. And finally, I will conclude and give some limits and perspectives. The emergence of new capital markets incites a large amount of researchers to study the interaction between stock prices and exchange rates and to investigate the transmission mechanism through which exchange rates and stock prices interact. The theoretical foundation encompasses two basic approaches. The first approach is the traditional approach proposed by Dernbusch and Fisher in 1980. It suggests a unidirectional relationship running from exchange rates to stock prices. The second approach is the portfolio approach proposed by Branson et al. In 1977. It suggests that stock prices greater-cost exchange rate. This scheme of the balance of payments describes the transmission channels through which stock prices and exchange rates interact. On the one hand, exchange rates affects a firm's cash flow through the balance of trade, and consequently it affects its stock price. On the other hand, stock price movements affect the demand of and supply for money through capital account, and consequently it affects the exchange rate. The core issue around which spins this study is whether the transmission mechanism through which there is an interaction between stock prices and exchange rates also applies to commodity prices and exchange rates. Now I'm going to highlight the concept of commodity market financialization. The last decade witnessed unusual movements of commodity inflows, which became more pronounced since 2004. Prices spiked and reached unprecedented levels. Vast institutional funds inflows into commodity investments have escalated from $15 billion in 2003 to $200 billion in 2008. The number of traders in commodity market more than quadrupled between 2000 and 2010. Then the volume of exchange-traded financial futures were about just 2 times the size of physical production in the early 2000s and grew up to almost 30 times the size nowadays. This figure describes the evolution of Australian coal, United States natural gas, and the UK Brent between 2000 and 2012. As you can see, the three commodities have got an upward trend. They spiked during the global financial crisis, then they have fallen slightly, and they recovered their upward trend since 2011. This new process provided by the commodity market introduced the so-called commodity market financialization. So commodities appears as a new class of assets, just like stocks and bonds. And commodities became crucial macroeconomic variables which interact with other macrofinancial variables, namely the exchange rates. Now I'm going to explain the methodological issues. The empirical approach employed within this study is the copula approach, defined by Sklar in 1959 as a multivariate function that couples the marginal distribution functions of two given variables x and y to represent the joint distribution function. The first step of the empirical study is the estimation of the marginal models that are characterized by an ARMA-PQ process. The conditional variances are characterized by a GJR model that captures asymmetric effects. The error